So the question is, in challenging situations, or you could say with challenging parents or parties, what have you sometimes said or asked that has sometimes worked?
When I see how angry they are at the other parent, I don't really address it until I feel really comfortable with them, till I get to know them better. And once I get to know them better, I say that. I say, wow, you really have a lot of anger, regrets. Can you tell me a little bit about your relationship? When did you guys meet? And so I take them back to a happier time, so they start telling me about how they met, how they got together, and so I sort of end up pointing out to them that this was somebody who they at one time loved. This was somebody who they had children with, and this is somebody who is going to be in their lives for the rest of their children's lives because they have to attend special occasions and they want to attend those special occasions. And so I asked them to tell me what it was about the other person that they liked so much, what attracted them to them and why they stayed, and how long did you stay together and all that. And so I asked them about all the good stuff, and I think that once you bring that out in them, it softens them. They've gone through a lot, and sometimes when you go through a lot, you change a little, but that person is still there. That person that you met and that is still in there. And then I sort of talk about the kids and how it's really important for the kids to see their parents get along because then they don't feel angry. They know their parents love them. And even though their parents can't be together, they still love them and they're each a part of their lives. So that's kind of how I deal with it. And it seems to work really well.
It's interesting because while mediation is very future focused, sometimes you need to do that.
Hmm. Yeah, because they weren't angry before. They're angry now. So you have to remind them of that. And then you bring them to the future. By reminding them you're going to be with this person, not directly, but you're going to go to your kids' graduations and weddings and grandchildren's births and things like that. And that's how I go from the past to the future and what they have, that they should at least be civil with each other because they have to attend all those, or they want to do that for their children. Because I find most of our parents really want to be there for their kids.
People are so angry though and hurt. And one of the things too that I remind them of is, you've just been through a really, frankly, an adversarial process. It's very zero sum, meaning as one parent earns their parental rights back, the other parent loses an equivalent amount of time. A lot of times, if family members testify, even the slightest thing, when we can repair those relationships too with family members, that's something, the ability to transform that relationship kind of starts to break everything loose. Everything's so locked up, the gears are stuck, and you start to break loose some of that friction. They're at their peak hate of their entire relationship, of their entire existence, when they come to us. And I remind them of that. I tell them, look, you've just been through a really, really hard process.
The other parent is also pissed off. They're both hating on each other. When I go back to them, I tell them, I said, oh my goodness, we were talking about how you used to sneak out when you guys first started seeing each other. I go back with a story that makes them remember it and makes them think, wow, he remembers that. He also remembers the good thing. It's not, he doesn't hate me so much. I think that's an effective way. And then they start telling me the story. And so I said, yeah, I'll say, yeah, I learned that about you. And it just really humanizes the person again to them.
That's awesome.